Jordon Steele-John, and a Senator for the Greens, and Keith Pitt, a member in the House for the Nationals. Gentlemen, thanks both for your time. Why don't we start on drought and the drought package here. A lot of attention, Keith Pitt, on Michael McCormack and whether he's thrashed out a good deal. What did you make of it all?
Tom, as the drought continues to ratchet up, well, obviously the federal government's response has to ratchet up with it. It's not a matter of focus on the leader, it's a matter of focus on people in the regions and regional Australia who are doing it very, very tough, and what we can do to ensure that they are sustainable and still there in the future. So I think it's a very strong package. There are good options, particularly the additional 100 gigalitres of water for irrigators throughout the southern parts. I think that's very, very strong, and obviously there's some loan options as well, also for small business, not just farmers.
The water going down the Murray system, so replaced for Adelaide via the desalination plant, but it appears it's going to be available for Victoria and New South Wales farmers, but Queensland, no extra water for you in this package?
Well, obviously the states control what happens in their parts of the Murray-Darling Basin Plan, is my understanding. I had a chat with Tony Passon this morning. As you know, Tony's right across those regional issues in South Australia in particular. And of course, you know, there's a few options here when water is very scarce. The desal plant into Adelaide is the first one. Now we've activated that option. That provides an additional 100 gigalitres of water. That's a lot of water. You know, that's 100,000 megalitres. That'll grow a substantial amount of crop in 2020. And I think that will definitely help support fodder and fodder supply. So that's very much a positive, Tom.
You're shaking your head there, Jordon Steele-John.
Well, I mean, this just shows the inability of the Nationals and the government generally to actually deal with the drought. What we've got here is a so-called plan which simply involves diverting 100 gigalitres, more than 100 gigalitres actually, because, you know, headline here, folks, water evaporates, and the deal is to deliver 100 gigalitres. So to actually get that to crop, you have to factor in the evaporation rates. But what it effectively does is take the water from South Australia and give it to primarily cotton and nut growers will be the ones that benefit from this. And the corruption and influence of those large farming conglomerates, particularly upon the National Party, is what really is at the heart of the mess.
Oh, well, hang on. What do you mean taking it from South Australia? Because it's made up for via the desalination plant, isn't it?
No, that's a complete misconception. So the desal plant will provide water to Adelaide. That's got nothing to do with getting water into or keeping it into the Murray-Darling system.
Yeah, but the water was destined for Adelaide, and
that's just
it's
nonsense.
going to be used by farmers.
It was destined to go down the river. That's how the river system works. So this is why we are so sceptical about whether this program will have any beneficial effect at all. And what you saw the other day was 5 ministers gathered around to talk about the drought without one of them mentioning climate change. The elephant once again in the room and ignored by this government.
The official report out by the on the drought that's finally been released after some time does mention climate change and droughts getting worse. Keith Pitt, comfortable with that in there?
Oh, well, Tom, firstly, the Senator's off with the fairies. I mean, if water comes in from the ocean through the desal plant and stops water coming out of the river system for use for people in Adelaide, well, obviously that's an increase of 100 gigalitres. I mean, just a nonsense argument. So well, we are doing everything that we practically can. Absolutely everything we practically can. This is about ensuring we can provide water for people who need it at a time that they are absolutely desperate.
So Adelaide ends up with the same amount of water,
looking the other way as cotton irrigators ruin.
I'll just go one more on this.
Great river systems
so Adelaide ends up with the same amount of water. Farmers along the way get more. There would be an argument that overall the water that flows through the river systems, we know that they need health. I know the government's saying there's no impact on the health of it, but less water will flow through it all because it'll be picked off along the way, right?
Tom, my understanding is the water that's being utilised in the Murray River is water that would have been utilised for the people of Adelaide. That is replaced by what comes through the desal plant. There is a cost to that,
but water that's used by the desal plant doesn't flow through the river. That's what doesn't happen in this plant.
Well, the water wouldn't have flown through the river anyway if it's utilised by the people in Adelaide. It's a zero-sum game. There's no net change in terms of what's running down into the ocean.
In Adelaide
How else does it get to Adelaide?
After flowing through the river. I'm confused as to whether Keith understands how water flows. Like, it doesn't just appear magically in Adelaide, it gets there through flowing.
It certainly seems to be your proposition,
system.
Senator. A magic wand. I mean, this is just nonsense. That there is no net change. So we provide water from the ocean through the desal plant for the people of Adelaide.
In Adelaide through flowing down the river, yeah? Like that's... Surely we have that baseline understanding of how water works.
Because Senator, you're off on a diatribe. You are wandering all over the place. So what are you saying? That you don't want us to provide water for people who are desperate?
Let me jump in. I'm going to have one more go at this, Keith Pitt. So I think what the Senator's putting to you is the net amount of water in Adelaide is the same. The farmers along the way get more because the desalination plant is up and running and replaces that. But the water that would have flown through the system all the way to Adelaide gets picked off along the way, gets purchased by farmers. So as each farmer buys water, a bit less is flowing through the system, which is part of the health of the Murray-Darling Basin system.
But where do you want to pick your point in time, Tom? I mean, you can put a line anywhere at the river and make the exact same case.
Well, let's pick it at not giving it to cotton growers. How about that? Or, you know, like, how about we fix the corruption?
Well, my understanding is that the water's being provided for fodder.